Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of TeleCast PH with me, your host, Jeff Thompson, Director of Client Solutions here at Telework PH. Thank you very much for joining. Brand new season, brand new format, and what do I mean by that? Well, I guess you're going to have to subscribe and follow to find out. Now, in this episode today, I'm interviewing once again our CEO and my boss, Marge Aviso, and getting a behind-the-scenes look at the film in production right now that was inspired by her true life story and business journey. And we're going to get into that right after this. Hello, everyone, and today I'm joined by Marge Aviso, the trailblazing CEO of Telework PH and my boss, whose real life story is now the inspiration of a much anticipated advocacy film. From her early days in the provincial town in the Philippines to making waves in the global business scene, Marge's journey is a testament to grit and ambition. We're digging deep into her story, the film, and what it all means for the dreamers out there, especially the women carving their own paths in the freelance world and beyond. Marge, thanks for being here with me.
Absolutely, Jeff. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me here again.
It's great to have you. But let's dive in. Let's first talk about the title of the film,
hmm
which is When the World Met Miss Probinsyana. Now, it took me like 6 months to learn how to say Miss
Right.
Probinsyana. I still don't know how to spell it in chat. I say Miss P. Can you tell us what is Provinciana? What is the meaning of Provinciana?
Yes. Provinciana just basically means someone from the province. So, provinciana if it's a female, and provinciano if it's a male. I believe it's a Spanish word.
And you're from San Rafael, Bulacan, is that right?
Yes, yes. And Bulacan
Perfect.
is a province in the Philippines. So it's just north of Manila.
Mhm.
And I grew up there. I lived there, and for the past 30 plus years of my life. So I'm really happy as a provinciana. I think I would never trade that for something else.
Well, so then can you take us back to the roots in the province and how those early experiences shaped your aspirations and approach to business?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of childhood memories and there, as a provinciana or some, I think it's still there. The stigma of you living outside of the city, that there are lesser opportunities, that, you probably took your elementary or your primary, secondary school in a not so good school. And but as well, there are good things about being a provinciana, like, there's very tight-knit community. You get to live with your extended family. You know very well everyone in the place, like the whole town. And every time you have a gathering or an event, then you get to invite all the neighbors. There's just so much relationship in there. And of course, apart from that, you get to enjoy the nature. There's just so much water, so much trees and fields in our area. We're not close by the beaches or by the sea, but there's always an abundance of rice and other resources.
Fresh
Gold.
produce,
Yes, exactly. Fresh
fresh fish.
produce. Right, right. I think those are the things that I really, whenever I go, this is not to say that living in the city has a lot of negative or disadvantages, but I really just prefer just me as an introvert and living closely with my family as a family person. I just really prefer the kind of atmosphere, the quiet environment that I get to enjoy here. And with accessibility to almost everything, I don't need a lot. I guess that's what I wanted to say.
So the one thing I did want to talk about, you mentioned, growing up in the province, and I know, from knowing a lot of Filipinos, when you grow up in the province, it's almost the mantra that you can't
Mm,
make money or have a good job
mm,
in the province. You have to go to the city or you have to leave the country altogether,
right.
to make a good living.
Mm-hmm.
I think is it along those lines, you think that perhaps may have made you want to stand up a little bit and say, look, this isn't right. We should be able
Mm-hmm.
to stay with our families and not have to leave our homes to make to make a living, and that's where the freelancing comes in, right? Where the
Yeah,
freelancers can work from home and
that's
be with their
right.
families.
That's right, Jeff. I mean, I personally grew up with my father working overseas, and so I saw the social impact of that. Him living, leaving us behind, and every year it becomes so natural that I get to somehow get by without a father, and I think the effect on that with me is that I got, I sought a relationship at a very early age and got pregnant at around 18 years old. And I didn't realize at the time that, it made so much effect on me as a child, as a daughter. And I think it's clear to me, it's still evident these days that a lot of people would see, going overseas or working abroad as the only means to survive. And while they can go to Manila or some other places or city where they can get a job. A lot of our families or our relatives would still prefer that they leave the country. And there's this belief that it's always a greener pasture over there.
Right, but I believe I saw a meme or it was something you said where the grass is greener where you plant it, right?
Or you
So
water it. Yeah.
there you go, where you water it.
Hmm.
So getting back to the film now, so this film is an advocacy piece for freelancers, particularly women. However, you're always saying that it's not your story. But what do you mean by that? That it's not your story?
Yeah, it just so happened, and I truly believe this. It just so happened that I was, the character that they had to put. But, the film was put together or was produced primarily to make a voice, to make that awareness, because we still see it every day, women having challenges with opportunities, with equal opportunities, same as men, especially in the field of technology, and that not all women are given access to education still because they are considered, if you're a home or a housewife, you got to stay at home, and you have to take care of the children as they grow up. Then now they forget about their dreams. And I think having a family is always a joined for both the husband and the wife. So they have to work together to raise a family. So there's still a lot of awareness that need to be done. And I know that, United Nations is pushing a lot of projects, and as well as, organizations, private organizations, even public, the government is doing something about it. And I love the tagline of the film that you don't have to be big in order to make a difference to the world. And I stand for that. I'm that person. I don't have to be, someone of a high position or of a large network to be able to do something. And I think I stand for every woman that also has a story like that. Just being kind and merely, standing for what you believe and fighting for that right. It doesn't have to make it to the news, but it has to be heard. And when a woman or a provinciana or anyone who sees that film can see himself or herself in that film, then that makes a huge of the difference. And I've been telling the directors we don't need a lot of viewers here. We just want this message to reach the right people, because these right people will make the amplification so big that it will make a voice, it will make a lot of awareness.
So that being said, how closely does the film mirror your actual experiences? I mean, were there any parts of your story that you insisted on including or excluding?
Yeah, so how we did the script, it was very therapeutic, to be honest. The film director had her, I believe she did some training on sort of NLP or something similar to that, and she took me to the through the process of unwrapping everything that's going on, because at the time I'm still, diagnosed with a major depressive disorder. So it's tough to just let it out, but she carefully walked me through the process. And it was very therapeutic because as I recall, as I remember every detail of it, it still hits me like it
Right.
happened yesterday. But at the same time, it's so relieving that I'm finally able to share that part of me when it was very tough to share that to somebody else. So I was very, there are some parts of it that I was like, I call her direct for short for director. I told her, Direct, you gotta include this part because this is very instrumental in, how I took it from rock bottom to being able to recover that breakthrough. It has to be there. So she was gladly, accepting of that. And there were also parts of the film that we have where we have to tweak it a little just so it wouldn't, because I was worried about the people that's included in the film that are no longer connected with me. So like my ex-boyfriend, things like that. So we got to just make sure that we are filtering some of the details and as well as amplifying the most important parts. So we did our due diligence in that.
Well, that's normal. There's artistic license everywhere. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And a lot of films. Now let's revisit that tagline again.
Yeah, you don't have to be let me get that the
You don't
exact
have to be big to make a
to make
difference.
a difference. Yes.
Now, you may have already answered this, but if you want to expand just a little bit, what message from that tagline from this film do you hope the viewers, especially the aspiring female entrepreneurs, take away from it? Is there anything? I mean, I know you already gave a bit of a, but if you could sum it up into like one sentence or two sentences, what do you think you would want the message to be for aspiring young females, other than this amazing tagline?
Yeah. I think a lot of us have forgotten about our dreams growing up. And I
Mhm.
think that gets us misaligned somehow. That's why we're burnt out. That's why we're not happy as adults, as is because we've forgotten about our purpose to begin with. And that's because, just life gets in the way, I guess. There are lots of societal issues that were discussed or were tackled in the film, like, apart from the gender equality, we also have, equal employment opportunities, mental health. There's also, the even poverty was tackled in the film. So
Mhm.
there are lots of issues, but if there's one thing that I would want that I would want every woman to understand from or take away from this film is that you can be anything. Yes, there are still stereotypes, stigmas around being a woman, but as long as you're not stepping on someone and I think kindness will definitely go a long way here. And your genuine heart to serve, like what I'm telling, Mother Teresa has always been my women icon here. Your heart of service and compassion for anyone, regardless of race, regardless of where they come from, that will make a huge difference in the world these days. There's just so much craziness going on. There's just so much misunderstandings, but just completely being there for someone else, lighting that fire for them, sparking that hope, that's gonna go a long way for sure.
I think that when a lot of people do understand your story, when I say understand, not just hear it, but actually understand your story, they're going to see that a lot of things are possible. I know that, you were 1 million pesos in debt with,
Yeah.
just a laptop and a baby boy you're taking care of by yourself, before you met your partner now. And and you overcame all of that and were able to build this. And I know that in my situation, and my story, what I
Mhm.
overcame, and I always tell people I'm not special. There's nothing special about me at all. As a matter of fact, I probably have more flaws than a lot of other people. It just, you got to have a plan. You got to have a
Mhm.
positive attitude, and you got to show up and do the work. Even
Mhm.
if you show up and do crappy work, hey, at least you showed up that day, and tomorrow you'll do better. You make
Yes.
mistakes, big deal. Tomorrow you fix them and you move on,
I
you know?
love it. Yeah. And they always say, the only time that you consider or you fail is when you quit. But, as long as you're living, every day you can start anew. You can always, succeed. So I think that's very powerful.
How do you think the story, when it's depicted in the film, will impact the perception of women specifically in business, particularly in the Philippines? Do you think the perception of Filipino business women will change?
Absolutely. I think we're starting to see this, a lot of women taking on executive roles. The other thing I wanted to talk about is this recent, I mean, it's not recent. I saw this survey from 2022 about overseas Filipino workers, and about 70%, majority of that are women, and 70% of those women are into elementary occupation. By that we mean like cleaning services,
Right, right.
kitchen, what have you. And only 6% are professionals. And I said, we can definitely do better than this. We have a lot more professionals or women professionals in the Philippines that are not you're not in these occupations because they have to raise a family. And I think there's nothing wrong with those choices in life, but then we remember why some of these women forget about their dreams or their aspirations, and that they forget about their contributions to the society. I remember this film, what was that film where there were three women ladies that I think they were the first to really understand computers. I forgot the title of that, but it just goes to show, how much women can be flexible in different roles, and they can also take on what we normally or what we usually know as men's jobs. So those are just things in my mind right now, that we can definitely have more female CEOs. We can definitely have more female in executive roles. I'm just so glad that Telework PH is a great example of how gender balanced we are. Like in our executive role, we have a perfect combination of women and men, and that makes us even more, balanced as well in terms of decision making, in terms of, weighing our options, because we see different perspectives, right?
Right,
I,
right.
I remember watching this film with Bill Gates and his wife. And Bill Gates was like, well, how do we develop that technology and all that stuff? And then his wife comes on and lets him know that what are the repercussions of you building that technology, because then this is what's going to happen. So women sees different perspectives as well. And there's, right, like women,
Yes.
husbands and wives, they see different perspectives. So having those in one place, then we cover all bases. And I think that's very important, especially when you're running a business, or even just making a decision for the government, for the people, for the community.
You hit the nail on the head there. When you said, the different perspective. You hear a lot in business and all across the world where they're saying, women are the same. They should be
Mhm.
just as equal to men, but they won't be. What we need to do is to
I love
appreciate
it. Yeah.
their contribution and acknowledge that contribution rather than saying that, oh, they're just the same, because look, they're not. Okay.
Mhm.
Women, my mother used to always say, she probably still does say it, a man will tell you how to put out a fire, but a woman will tell you how to prevent one. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that just sums up how, that relationship of the coming together and working together in the different perspective. And then, you mentioned dreams. When I was actually thinking this earlier, as I was scrolling through Facebook, and I'm seeing the multitude of people complaining about their jobs, complaining about they're not getting paid enough, and then pictures of their coffees and their lunches and everything else. And I was just wondering, where are the people talking about their dreams? Where are the ones that are out there saying, I want to achieve this, I want to go here? I internally in Telework PH, we use Slack, and you know that I'm very involved with the virtual assistant. So I put out a post, like, just something fun, like, where do you want to go? Where do you dream
Mhm.
of going? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I was surprised that only two VAs actually answered that, because I really think that you're right, that in today's day and age, even more so than I've ever seen, especially with social media, people are just not
Yeah.
dreaming anymore. They're not thinking about it. They're afraid to put their dreams out there because there's 10 people that'll just line up and try to stomp on it.
Mm.
So that's one thing that we really gotta get out. I'm hoping that this film would, don't be afraid. You
That's
can't be
true.
afraid to
Yeah.
dream. You can't be afraid to put yourself out there. But as you know, you also you're gonna have to be ready to take a few taps on the chin because
Yeah.
there will be the haters.
Yes.
They say that the ones that are just lined up ready to hate and try to pull you down.
Hmm.
And you just got to kind of brush them off, you know.
Right. And I remember there was very exact scene in the film that's depicted exactly, what I went through with all those people who would rather hate and what I did to get over and we don't ignore them. We go through it. I think that's where the power is. Some people would just ignore, these sufferings or these, setbacks. But if we go through the rain, so to speak, that's where we experience how powerful we are, that we are able to do this. And if it happens again, I can definitely recall that from muscle memory that I can get through this, get through these emotions, get through these battles. I've done it before, I can do it again. And the faith that comes with it, the faith that everything will be fine, you'll be fine as long as you're breathing, you don't die. I think, yeah.
That's it. A good friend of mine who just went for he was trying for a new job. Okay. And
Hmm.
he went through 3 week interview process and had to do all this writing and testing and had the final interview. And he waited all week. And Friday came around and found out he didn't get the job. Okay. And, you know, that's it's upsetting. But when you stop and you think, well, you're no worse off than you were before. It's like you begin to handle those kind of situations that come up. People, some say it's you're getting stronger. I don't necessarily think that anybody's getting stronger. They're just getting more adept to handling disappointment or handling those haters and those
Hmm.
naysayers or I guess I already said the disappointments that come along, and you begin to just not put so much
Yeah,
focus and attention on it as you do before,
right.
but you put more focus and attention on solutions and moving forward.
Yeah.
You could have a group of 400 people that love you, but if like one person is saying something bad about you, everybody seems to zero in on what that one person has said or
Hmm.
is saying. So yeah, absolutely. That's some good points that you made there. So moving on, let's talk about the actual filming of the movie. So can you share some like behind the scene moments from the film that were particularly memorable or impactful for you, either fun or even just seeing these moments in your life play out that impact you in any way?
Oh my God, boy, it did. I was just when you were just saying those questions, it just, I just recalled this event where they were filming that and I was just crying in the corner. I couldn't stand it. I was just, I'm not sure if it's a mixture of being grateful that I finally get to see this happening right in front of me, but as well as, just recalling all those moments where I felt like giving up. I'm so glad I didn't, you know? So it was really a mix of emotions. So, but I was just sobbing and sobbing, and everybody was like, well, I think we've done that part. I think they've done their part of being able to put that storytelling into reality that it affected me emotionally. So I think that was very, they
But
did a really good job there.
it's the first time you got to see that from the outside, huh?
Yes, exactly. So Lynn was just beside me and he was, yeah, the tough man. He doesn't, he shouldn't be crying. But I was holding on to him and was like, can we step back a bit and then just move away from this, this scene because I couldn't just handle it. They know. The directors had me move to another room so I can collect myself and all that. But I can tell that Lynn is also affected emotionally. So that's the scene where, they Lynn and I had to make conversations. It was a very heavy scene. There's a lot of shouting, there's a lot of crying. And it's funny when the actress is in the middle of crying and then like, okay, cut, then we take on another angle of that same moment, and then she has to cry again and then all of the memories again would live. So it's like a tape that's being played to you over and over.
Were you involved in the casting of Rian Ramos?
Yes, yes, I was. So, we, just like how the casting would work, we had to look at different female or lead women in the role as suggested by the film directors and upon their availability as well. But Rian Ramos specifically, even if she's not a provinciana, initially we were looking at a provinciana, but even if she's not a provinciana, she actually had this very authentic connection with me. Like I know she can portray my character very, very well. There's that depth and authenticity in there. And she's also making a stand for a lot of women issues. So, and recently she was the UN ambassador for peace. So, there's a lot of societal issues that she really advocates for, and I think that's also one of the most important things when looking for that female role to actually play the role of a Miss Provinciana, because that Miss Provinciana has high spirits, that Miss Provinciana is resilient. Miss Provinciana stands for issues. So she's the exact person who exemplifies that.
So, were there any parts of the film where you felt it was important to prioritize storytelling over strict factual accuracy? I think that was something we were talking about before. Just kind of like what we were saying before, where you had to like change some things a little bit to,
Mm,
you know what I'm saying? So,
okay, okay. Yeah, okay. So look, I didn't know about this before, but I was just told that the entire process for like post-production, you gotta run that by a critic. So this critic is very, of course, he's seen a lot of movies and he knows what people would look into and would eventually bash or what have you. But it's very important that not only are we portraying our message, but that the flow of the story actually makes sense and we don't skip anything. Like, for instance, when we were just going through the post-production, the film director saw that there could be a gap between how do we, somehow take the viewers back to childhood, and we don't have footages of that. So we had to come up with succeeding, additional 2 filming days to actually show, a little bit of the Miss Provinciana childhood and how she started working in the metro. So that now bridges the gap between all of a sudden we're starting here. Now they have a business, now they have telework. How do we actually make that relationship between husband and wife stronger? How do we get attached as a viewer, because I
right.
know how people relate with films is they
Mhm.
they see the characters to have that very strong connection. Like if they're husbands and wives, it has to show. So we saw that we didn't have those kinds of stories in there and we have to inject it. So I sincerely believe, yeah, storytelling and how you put that story flow is very important, so that we can also take the viewers or the audience through that series of emotions and ups and downs.
Right, that you're absolutely correct. That connection in film is important. It's extremely important, and I'll give you an example. Have you ever heard of the Netflix series Breaking Bad?
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay,
have.
everybody goes crazy about Breaking Bad, and I just watched this film director on YouTube. I can't remember his name, but he was analyzing it because he was asked, why is Breaking Bad so successful from the beginning, and he says, because right away here you have a guy with money problems, and
Mm,
he decides to sell drugs to solve his money problems. There's not a guy in America who hasn't had money problems and went through his head, hey, I could sell some drugs and make some quick money and solve all my. So it's like right away, right off the bat,
mm,
everybody is relating to this guy.
mm,
This guy's a normal guy, but
right.
you feel him. He's got money problems. He's got his wife is sick, or what, or I think he is sick. Somebody is sick. I forget.
Mm.
But anyway, so yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. So that was I thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, right off the bat, you see yourself in the film. That's me, right? If but like I can see myself as being ordinary, I can see myself as being bullied, what have you, but I see myself in there and that's me. And that catches my attention right away, that engages me, and all of a sudden you're in the POV, right? You're in the point of
Right.
view of that character.
So how much longer until the film is released?
So we're looking at April of 2024 as the premiere of this film. There are a couple of organizations that are requesting for special screenings as early as March to celebrate the Women's Month. So we're looking into that as well. But yeah, I'm really excited as well as pressured that it's in about a few months from now. But yeah, all is well.
So what kind of reaction are you anticipating from the audience, especially those in the freelancing community?
So right now, as I'm posting on my Facebook, I'm seeing comments and reactions, and this is where I would really base it from. That most of them are really excited to see the film because, like I said, it's a story of everybody in the same space. Because I started as a freelancer as well, and built this company to support the community that I'm in as well. So they see that a lot in how I've started, and I think everybody can relate to how I started with just a laptop, a computer that's not even 100% working, and I started with we call it monoblock chairs.
Mhm.
It's made of plastic. So I really didn't come from a very well-off family as well. So, but yeah, people are very excited. I'm just hoping that we are able to somehow garner more attention as the months come to a near. So yeah,
So, but how do you think then you'll feel the first time watching the completed film beginning to end?
that's what I'm saying. I'm just gonna cry the entire time. I don't know. I'm just there's a lot, and that's where excitement is. I mean, it's very exciting to watch my life in there, but as well be able to touch so many people, and I'm ready as well. I mean, the media side of things had us or told us to prepare as well for negative feedback. I think, for any endeavor that you do, you get that
Right.
feedback, and that's very important. So just prepare for that, and as well be accepting of, what's gonna happen. I just feel so much confidence. I guess there's just so much faith that God took us from something to here, and it wasn't a very small budget. It's taken a lot of resources, even people from Telework PH became an actor for a day.
Right,
So some
right.
of them really contributed to this. So I know that if God took us to where we are now, then he will definitely finish the battle. So yeah,
I always like to say, if God got us this far, why would he stop now? You know, you
exactly.
know.
Exactly.
So this movie is now I know we're releasing it here in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you're expecting it to go global,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
How does that feel? I mean, to think about, Topeka, Kansas, somebody's going to be sitting there just watching,
Mhm.
your story. What does that feel like to know that you're going to be, spread all over the globe?
It used to feel impossible, but now as I see it unfolding, it's unbelievably possible because one of the film directors is part of the United Nations of the Philippines, and they are already speaking with representatives from all over the globe that they are requesting for a special screening. So I guess my only worry is that how can we sustain ourselves to even go to these countries, and they were already presenting sponsorships and the willingness to have us to bring us there. So I'm just amazed with how these things are unfolding right now. That's how I feel, to be honest, and a little bit worried and pressured, but I turned them into prayers. So that works so far.
Let's take a look then, like years down the line.
Hmm.
Okay. When people look back at Marge Aviso's legacy, our kids,
Oh boy.
what do you hope they'll remember and say about you and your contributions? Like for instance, for me, I want people, when I'm, gone to
Hmm.
say, you know, that Jeff was very humble.
Hmm.
That's my aspiration. When we look at your legacy of what you've built and continuing to build, what do you want people to say?
Wow, I haven't really thought of that. I mean, I was ready to die anytime, but I haven't really thought about what people would say about me. But one thing's for sure, they wouldn't be saying something bad, I guess, at my wake. But I guess for the kids, I want them to, because right now they're really, small children. So
Right.
and every time I go out and go to the office and do some stuff, they always see me as busy. So I guess when when they grow up and then realize that, what I'm working hard for has really made an impact, not only to the people of Telework, but to the community as a whole, then that will make them realize that, that busyness is actually my purpose, that business is actually very meaningful. And I try as much to balance. Well, there's no such thing as balancing work and life, but being able to integrate that together, so that they don't feel like I've always been just for these things, for working hard and hard and hard. I want to be available to them as a mother, as as a friend, and even as a partner to Lynn. So yeah, that's what's going on in my mind right now, but I haven't really, wow, yeah, it's a good question. I love that. I love that because that's legacy right there.
Absolutely, and it is difficult in this industry, but the fact that this industry is global
Hmm.
and there's demands on your time 24/7. I know, on all of us, the
Yes.
operations everywhere. We have agents running 24/7, around the clock. So it's like it keeps everybody busy,
Hmm.
from human resources all the way down, to our our great maintenance people, they're in the office that are keeping everything running for the agents that are
Yeah.
working there overnight and in the morning. So there are a lot of demands in this industry.
For sure.
Maybe more so than others. So the movies are, almost wrapping up with filming. Like you said, in a couple of months it's going to be out. But then looking ahead, let's look ahead to like 2025, sorry, 2026. What's next for Marge Aviso and Telework PH? What's the next mountain that you think that you're gonna want to climb?
Ooh, I've always been dreaming about having that technology in place and being able to really scale that. Right now, we want to be seen, as telework, we want to be seen as that the right, not necessarily the best, but the right outsourcing provider for businesses. But not only that, that we are the fastest, we're the most efficient, we're reliable 100%. And we can only do that with the right technology in the place, and also be able to use that technology to help other starting BPO businesses here in the Philippines. I don't see it as a competition in a way. There are lots of niches in this industry. They can serve who they want. But these people, whenever they ask me, how did you do it? I said, I don't know because I was just navigating it as I go and learning as I go. But had there been a place or had there been a system that could have helped them just get started and be able to do it really right, then that leaves more chances for them to succeed. So seeing my fellow Filipinos thrive in this industry is very rewarding as well, because not only are we helping these businesses, but helping the community, the whole country as well. Because I see the Filipinos are really very hardworking, and
Mhm.
they can be really great professionals, not just in elementary occupation. So I think this is where the vision is heading.
Absolutely, and that's a good point. I've often talked about changing the way we look at outsourcing, changing the way the world looks at Filipinos. Me
Mhm.
being from America, of course, I came here with my stereotypical ideas, which have been since shattered. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So there are a lot of again stereotypes that, yeah, Filipinos just spread out to the world and are maids and nannies and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. But like we
Mhm.
talked about earlier, that perception can hopefully change, over time. And it really shouldn't be that hard, but unfortunately, some nuts are hard to crack.
Yes, it is. It still is. I mean, even if we see nurses in the United States that are very hardworking and even really having their position in their roles, they're still being considered as, not as equal as as the rest. So we're positive about, the voices that we're raising, and we're hoping that it reaches people who wanted to also make a difference on their own. They don't need, you don't have to wait for the government to provide funding. You don't have to wait for someone else or a higher authority to do that. You can start with yourself. And I guess that's where the power is, because when we make a movement that blows everything up, that makes a huge sound and a huge difference to each people's lives.
Absolutely. You know, I think a lot about to Heidi, who's on your team. I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning her. But she also has an amazing story. She, used to work in a factory,
Mm,
for a minimum wage, and trained herself through, homeschooling or whatever courses that she took
mhm,
on social media management and other places, and worked as a freelancer for a long time. And we were lucky to get her to join our team, and
mhm.
bring those skills. And I
Yeah,
think that, she is she's very, very talented, very skilled. So there should just needs to be more opportunities opening up, you
right,
know.
right. She's a chemical engineer. So, and we remember when we did a survey to our workforce, and we were surprised we were seeing lawyers in
Right.
there, right? So we're like, are you sure this is the right job for you? But there could be definitely more opportunities for them. And we're hoping to see more of, like, medical VAs, legal VAs who can definitely help businesses not only in the United States but all over the world have access to that labor that might be so costly in their country, but be able to have that service even greater, or even a quality service to help them with their businesses.
Absolutely. And again, when we get back into the women's side of things, there's a lot to overcome. Somebody like in your shoes, and Heidi, you're not only from the Philippines, but then you're a woman on top of that, then you're from the province, so but when you stop it and you really think about it, it's 2024.
Mm,
Why have these lines not yet been blurred?
mhm.
Why are we not embracing online education, and still everybody's still trying to hold on
Right,
to these old ways, but yet still profit from advancements in technology.
right,
It
yeah.
and this is coming from an old guy here. You know
Mhm,
what I'm saying?
mhm.
um
You've seen everything.
I've I've gone from vinyl to virtual reality. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
it's crazy. So anyway, getting back to the film, last question. Being that this is an advocacy film, we are relying on outside support, to really get the word out. How can people get involved and support this film?
Absolutely. We are on our socials, Facebook primarily. We're also starting to build Instagram and YouTube. You can definitely get in touch with us. Right now, we are in the works of promoting how we can reach people and organizations who could support us. We are doing the manual outreach, so we're sending
Right.
out emails to these organizing bodies. But if you're an individual listening to this, and if you probably have a company, then please, by all means, message us on our Facebook page. We're very active there. And we'll definitely, as soon as we receive your message, we'll definitely get back with you.
All right, and I'll make sure to put the links to all your socials and everything
Mm.
in the description for
Yes,
this
please. Yes.
podcast. Okay, well, I guess that's it. We're out of time. Thank you so much.
Thank
It
you.
was great hearing the stories and all about the film and what's next for you. And I'm really looking forward to the film coming out.
Absolutely. I'm very excited for everyone, especially everyone at Telework PH to join us at the premiere. And it's going to be very exciting because we have extended this to guests at the government. So they're joining us as well in this film showing. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Excellent. All right, we will talk to you again after the film has been released. We're going to have you back and revisit and see
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah, yeah. So exciting. Thank
All
you,
right.
Jeff.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
And that's going to wrap it up for this installment of TeleCast PH. I'm Jeff Thompson, your host. And I sincerely hope you enjoyed the chat with Marge Aviso and about the movie When the World Met Miss Probinsyana. Please check back after the movie's release for an update, and keep watching for other episodes as we delve into the world of offshore outsourcing. And if you want to find out more about what we do and how we can help your business scale up quicker, all you got to do is hop on over to www.teleworkph.com or shoot me a message on LinkedIn. Just search Jeff Thompson. I'm the Director of Client Solutions for Telework PH. Until next time, as the late great Dr. Wayne Dyer said, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. Take care, everyone. Be safe. It's TeleCast PH, signing off.